Hello everyone, welcome back to another EdTech workshop, and today we're going to cover Google Forms, supercharged surveys, forms, and quizzes. Feel free to access the training materials included with this training. The training material that you have might look a little bit different since this training was created before the packet was finalized. So I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to select Mail. I'm signing in to my cvuhsd.org account and I'm going to access my Google Forms through the waffle icon. If you don't have this Google Forms icon through the waffle, no worries. Simply select Google Drive. For the purpose of demonstration, I am going to create a new folder and I'm going to name it DLI April Training. I am going to include delete, so I'm able to delete this folder after I'm done with this training. So there's the folder. Inside this folder, I'm going to open it and I'm going to create a new Google form. If you reference the training packet, you're going to see the option to create a new, more, and select Google form. I'm going to go back to my drive, select the new option, select more, and select Google form. In the training packet, you're going to see a breakdown of the user interface. The title, this is very important to change. The title for the form is different for the title of the actual form that you're creating. So this title displays in your Google Drive and this title displays on the actual form when people are submitting or completing the form. I'm going to go over some of these features and options as I continue demonstrating how to use Google Forms. So I'm going to begin with the title. If you click right on the name, it's going to copy the name of the form, but you can change it. Now this title will appear on Google Drive. There it is. And this title will appear when participants fill in the form. We have the option of add-ons. You might not have some of these add-ons on here, but you can get add-ons if you want for your Google Forms. You can also change the color by using the color palette. So you can see that it changes the color. You can preview your example survey. So this is how people would see the survey. I'm going to close that. The edit option of my survey, that means I can edit this form. This is the settings. If you plan to collect email addresses, select collect email addresses. Response receipts, that means people can choose to get a response receipt after they submit the form. You can restrict it only to CV users, or you can just leave it open for anybody to complete, and you don't have to collect email addresses if you don't want to. So I'm going to select these two as my option. If you want people to only limit it to one submission, do select this option, but it'll collect the email addresses as well. Some of these options are optional. You don't have to select them, but just know if you select the edit after submit, that means the participant or whoever submits the form will be able to go back and change their options or answers. So I'm going to deselect this one. There are various options here. There's also a presentation and quizzes. For the purpose of demonstration and for the first section, I'm going to leave it as general and I'm going to say save. Let's say that you're planning on inviting another teacher, another colleague to help you develop the form. To do that, you're going to select the three dots for more options. You're going to select add collaborator and you're going to specify the name of that collaborator. Do notify people when you are inviting them to help you collaborate. Otherwise, they will not know that you have sent them an invitation to help you develop the form. So I'm going to click send. So now this person has edit access to the form and they can create questions, they can add questions, they can remove, they can modify, etc. So I'm going to click done. Adding a collaborator is different from sharing the form. So when you add a collaborator, they're helping you develop and edit the form. When you're sending the form, that means you're sharing the link for others to complete the form. More on this a little bit later in the training. Let's begin to edit the first question. The first question is going to be, what is today's date? Notice it automatically picks up information and decides what kind of question or the type of questions this will be. You can opt to require the question or optional. You can also add additional descriptions to include on your form. I'm going to leave it as required. You can also choose to duplicate the question, or you can choose to delete the question. I'm going to add a new question. What day of the week is it today? Notice you have a few options here. Google automatically knows what kind of question this is, and it's going to give you prompts to choose additional information. I can decide to add all, or I can decide to ignore these suggestions by Google, and I can choose the type of question this is going to be. Is it going to be a multiple choice? Is it going to be a drop down? Is it going to be a checkbox? I'm going to leave it as a multiple choice question, and I'm going to select all. You can select and toggle required. If you need to add a description, you can select description. Choose one option. If you need to go back at any point in your form and edit the questions, you can also do that. Simply select the question to highlight it, and now you are able to go back and edit. For example, I'm going to change the word best to preferred. What is the preferred time to reach you? In this question, we need a date and the time. To do that, I'm going to select the date option, and then I'm going to include the option to include the time. I'm going to make this a required field. That way, the participants do not have the option to leave it blank. I can continue to add additional questions to my form by selecting the plus icon, typing the question, and also include pictures. I'm going to select the picture icon. You can bring in pictures from different sources and locations. I have saved the picture in my computer, so I'm going to bring the picture from my computer. Once it finishes loading, it's going to appear right within the question. This is a survey question, and I need to choose the type. So I'm going to select linear, scale, from 1 to 5, 1 being not so good, and 5 being excellent. I'm going to require the field or leave it as optional. You can also include a description if you want to. I'm going to add an additional question, and this time my question is going to be a short answer. I'm going to type the question. It's going to be a short answer. I'm going to require the field, and I'm going to add another question. You can continue to add questions to your Google form and select the question type. For this example, I am going to select a checkbox grid. I'm going to include the question, and then I'm going to include my rows. Once you have the rows completed, you're going to create your columns. My columns will be agree, neutral, and disagree. You can make this a required question. You can also add a description. It's going to be up to you. As you continue to add additional questions, if you get to a question that requires a file upload, and then specify the question type, this will be a file upload. When you select the file upload, you will get a message from Google. I'm going to select continue. In the options for this question, you're going to specify the specific file type. you can indicate whether it will be a document, a spreadsheet, PDF, video, presentation, drawing, image, or audio. Indicate the file to be uploaded and then specify the number of files that you're collecting. Indicate the max size of the file. I highly recommend to add a description. For example, file upload must be a JPEG and max size of 1 megabyte. The reason why this is important is because when the user tries to upload a file, if it's not the correct file or correct size, it will not allow them to upload anything, and if it's a required field, it will not allow them to continue and proceed through this form. So this is extremely important to include a description for the type of file that you are collecting and also the max size of file that you are collecting. I have added 2 additional questions. One of them is a multiple choice grid and the other one is a paragraph fill-in constructed response. If you're interested to know what this would look like once you send the link for others to complete the form, you're going to select the eye icon to preview the form. In preview mode, you will be able to take on the user role and complete the form just to check what it looks like and make sure that everything's working accurately. I'm going to test the form. I'm going to select any one of these. Just to make sure that it's working. I'm going to select the drop down. I'm going to select the movie type genre that I like. And because it says check all that apply, I don't have to select one only. I can select multiple, and I can also add an additional option that is not included within this form. Now, for this type of question, you will be allowed to check only 1 per row. So if you select more per row, it's not going to allow you to continue. So just be careful. If that is something that you need to specify in the description, you might want to include it as a short description at the bottom of the question. To upload a file, you might want to test it. It's asking for a JPEG under 1 megabyte. So I'm going to select one from my computer. Just make sure that it is the correct one. So this is a JPEG and is 26.2 kilobytes. So that's perfect. If it's a file that is not the correct file type and it is not the correct size, you will not be able to upload that file. This is why it is extremely important to specify here on the description. Otherwise, the user will attempt to upload files and they will fail to upload the file again and again. And for the constructed response, you can see that you can include a very lengthy response. It could be a paragraph form, it could be a short description for this type of form. And then when I'm ready to submit, I can submit this form. So because I am previewing the form, whatever submissions I make, they will actually apply to the actual form. So I'm going to submit. Oh, it's required here. And then submit. Now all of the questions have been answered. I have the option to submit another response if I want to, or just close the tab and that is it. Now we have collected a response and that is my response at this point. You see all the data is collected by Google Forms along with the constructed responses. Don't forget to reference the training material for an in-depth step-by-step on how to create questions in your Google Forms. Also, we pointed out the difference between adding collaborators and also sending the form. We covered changing the setting options. Just to review the setting options, I will go back to my form To review the setting options in the form, simply select the gear icon. I'm going to select the gear icon, and I am collecting email addresses. This is optional. You do not have to have these options selected. You can also restrict it to Centinela Valley Union High School District users. That way, they must be signed in order to complete the form. I'm going to go ahead and save. I'm going to leave it as is. What I'm going to do at this point is I would like to show you how to set up a quiz. Now, I do have a quiz that's very lengthy, but I will show you how to set it up with just a few questions so you get an idea. We will provide in this training an example of a quiz so you can reference it as well. Let's say that you want to use Google Forms to create a quick quiz. And I'm going to create just a new form. So going back to Google Forms, I'm going to name it DLI Example Quiz. Before I do any of these changes, I want to specify that this is going to be a quiz in my Google form. I'm going to select the gear icon, and I'm going to select quizzes. I'm going to make this a quiz and select the appropriate options and save. Now I have various options that are different from my Google Forms. So I'm going to go back and show you. First off, we have selected the quiz settings. Second, we're going to be able to select an answer key and specify which one's the correct answer. And then finally, we're going to be able to assign the points. You can do this for any type of questions. So I'm going to go back to my Google form. This is the quiz one. And I'm going to type my first question. So I want this to be a multiple choice, and I want this to be, for example, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to select the answer. So I'm going to make this a required field, and I select answer key. I can specify the correct answer, and I can also specify the number of points. I can also provide answer feedback, and this is up to the teacher to provide the answer feedback, incorrect answers, correct answers. Once you make those changes, you simply save. Feel free to explore these and other options within Google Forms. I can go back to edit my question, and I can continue adding additional questions for my form. My next question is going to be, which of the following are shoe brands? Select all that apply. And I'm going to provide my options here. And now you can add the answer key. Here we have an example of the various question types in a Google form quiz. Checkbox option with multiple answers selected. We also have a survey. We also have a multiple choice option drop-down. We have a file upload with an image file type. Number of images 1, and maximum file size is 1 gigabyte, which is a big file size. And then finally, we have the constructed response short answer text. I'm going to close this quiz. Back in Google Forms, I'm getting ready to send this form for others to complete. I'm going to select the send button and select from the various options. I can choose to send it by email to individual users. I can also choose to get the share link, and I can also choose the embed code. If you are planning on embedding and getting the HTML code, you will probably need to remove the file upload option. I'm going to do that for the purpose of demonstration. I'm going to go into my file upload, and here it is. I'm going to delete this one. And now if I go back to the send button, you can see that the option to embed is now available. So I'm going to get the link first. I'm going to copy this link. In Canvas, I can also have my students complete this form simply by including the link if I want to. So I'm going to say to my students, there's the form. I can also highlight the word, select the link icon, and then paste it. And that is also a hyperlink to the form. Another way to do this is to use the embed code, which is probably the visual representation of that link. So I'm going to go into my Google form one more time. I'm going to get the embed code. I'm going to copy that, go back to Canvas, and the embed code does not go in the rich content editor. This goes in the HTML editor. So I simply paste, right click and paste, and then return to the rich content editor, and now you can see the form has been included within the Canvas page. If you want to make this form a little bit longer, you can always go back to the HTML editor and change the height. So maybe you want this to be 700 in height. And now you can see that it gets a little longer. Canvas does not collect the data. Even though you have included the Google form in Canvas, the data will go to the Google Sheet. This can be a no submission, so you can later come back and add the scores if you want to add it as an assignment in Canvas. I'm going to save it for now. And now you can see the student view shows the link to words is a hyperlink, the actual link, the entire URL that I pasted, but I also have a visual link, which is the embedded HTML code. So it's entirely up to the teacher how they want to share and distribute their forms. If I return to my training packet, you can see that we share this in various ways. Email, get link, HTML code. What we want is to view the data and analyze the data. For that, I'm going to go to responses in my form, select the Google Sheet, and then I'm going to create a Google Sheet. So I am in responses. Notice there are two tabs, the questions and responses. I'm going to select the create spreadsheet. This new Google Sheet will get created where you have saved the Google form. I'm going to create. Now we have our data. This is where you're going to collect all of the data that you have gathered from people, students, teachers, anyone who has filled out the form. All the data will get populated in this Google Sheet. It will collect the timestamp. It will also collect the email address because that was specified in the Google Form settings. And as you can see, all the responses are included within this Google Sheet. If you need to reference one more time how to create the HTML code and also how to embed it within Canvas, you can refer to the training packet. Next in our training, we're going to cover another way of sharing a Google form, and that includes a QR code, which is going to be easy for students to access and scan and also have access to the form. To create a QR code, you will need to copy the share link for the Google form. I'm going to return to the Google form, select send, and copy the link for that form. The next thing that you will need to do is go to Google Shortener website. Google is ending its service for Google Shortener. An alternative way to create short links and also create QR codes is going to be TinyCC. Simply get the link for your Google file, paste it, provide a custom name, and then select Tiny. It is that simple and that quick. Here you have the short URL. You can also share via social media, and you can also get a QR code. This is just an alternative way to creating short URLs for websites or for your Google files. Now that you have created and printed a QR code, your students will be able to scan the QR code and have access to the forms without having to type in the URL or accessing in a different way. This will come in handy if you have an electronic hall pass. You can have a QR code printed and posted by the door. Students can scan before they leave the room, and students can scan again when they return to the room. This is just an example. Feel free to explore some of the examples that we have provided to you in the CVUHSD Google Forms template gallery. Please note that these are only examples. These are not perfect, and you might need to edit them to fit your needs for your class and your students. So these are templates, and we hope to inspire new ideas in the use of Google Forms. To access the template gallery, you simply go to google.com/forms. I'm going to open a new tab and go to google.com/forms. If you select the template gallery, you have the option to view CVUHSD templates. If you select General, you have access to other templates. You don't have to make a copy. You simply select the template. There are instructions such as delete this page if you don't need it, modify anything that you need from these questions, and give it a try. Once again, these might not be perfect and this might not be what you're looking for, but we hope to inspire an innovative way of using Google Forms beyond the surveys and polls. If you need to reference any of the training materials that we've covered, you can go back to the training packet and view a step-by-step tutorial on how to get the QR code, how to copy and paste the QR code on a Google Doc, how students can scan the QR code using a mobile device, and also how the teacher can access the CVUHSD Google Forms template gallery. Feel free to reference these examples and modify as needed. Now it's your turn to try and use a QR code reader. See if you can scan some of these from your screen. Simply use the QR reader from your phone, point it to the screen, get close enough to the QR code, and you should be able to see the form that's linked to that QR code. Give it a try and see if you like it.